Hey everyone, welcome to this shortwave radio hangout. Tonight is the Tuning the Bands hangout. And so we are going to tune the radio. Of course, this is the hangout where you don't see my face. So if you have something against my face, at least it's not there. um, so happy New Year, everyone. We haven't had the any hangouts since the new year. So hope everyone likes everything that we do, and we got a new show starting next week. So now every Fridays at 2100 hours Universal Time is the time you have to be on the internet and watch. Every Friday now, 2100 hours UTC. We have 1 week is the tuning the bands like today, and 1 week will be the new VHF UHF hangout where we talk about scanner radios and everything that's 30 megahertz and up. So that's going to be quite cool. I've started already to kind of reactivate the VHF UHF channel by putting a few videos this week, and of course we'll be continuing on that for sure. So this week is tuning the bands, and next Friday, next week, 2100 hours UTC. If you're interested in everything that's VHF, UHF, scanner radios, and so on, we will have a live hangout talking about that. So now every Friday there's something. And also tomorrow, because on Saturdays every 2 weeks we do have our hangouts, and tomorrow will be the first hangout of the year where we talk about software-defined radios tomorrow. So hope you can join us. Another hangout tomorrow where we'll talk about software-defined radios. So welcome to everyone in the chat room. I'll be tuning the radio bands as we see. I see the number of spectators that are slowly moving up and up and up. I want to say hi to everyone in the chat room. Ranger7, hello, welcome. Junior, welcome. MCLA Drifter, good evening. Mad Boy, welcome. What do we have? Anton7474, welcome. What do we have here? Cook Rick, Richard Cook, thank you. Welcome to the hangout. Jordan, always nice to have you on board. Roger, AB8MQ, welcome to the hangout. Root Cake, P. Steckler, welcome to the hangout from California. What else do we have? We have, did I miss anyone? Rad Surfer, welcome to the hangout. Trying not to miss anyone on the hangout. Of course, we have a chat room, which is at swling.com/blog/chat-room. This is a nice little chat room you can join. You can also send me an email, officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com, if you want to say hi. Some people are a little more shy than others, and hope everybody finds today's tuning the bands cool. In the past week or two, I've noticed that the bands are not as good as usually. It seems to be a little below average. I've noticed that in the holiday season. In the afternoon was fantastic, but in the evening, man, as soon as the sun sets, it's horrible, and it gets really horrible quick. So, welcome A440 to the hangout. And so let's start tuning. A few minutes ago, I had the WWV on 25. Now it's getting very weak. So what I'll be doing, I think I'm going to start my tuning around 22 and go down slowly. I know you guys in Europe are, of course, going to not listen to the higher frequencies. It's already dark over there. Here it's dark in 22 minutes, actually. So it's still light outside. And it's funny, you know what? From the shortest day of the year that we had, December 21st, 22nd, we already have 20 minutes more in the evening. So it's, going nice. And Junior, I'm speaking from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Thanks for asking, because a lot of people always say you don't say enough where you are, and we don't know where you are, and we'd like to know where you are. So Montreal, in the province of Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. Welcome, Dan from Syracuse, shortwave guest. And let's start tuning. I'll start tuning from 22 megahertz down. Anyone has questions or anything, of course, you can feel free to ask any questions. I will try to answer as we can. And welcome, Richard. Welcome, Calvin. Welcome, PLF2. Oh, actually, he's quit. Well, he's joining quit. He's going to come back. So cool to see everybody on board. Let's start tuning at 22 megahertz and slowly go down. We'll see what we can hear. For sure, I don't expect to have much on the 13-meter band. 13-meter band has been a pretty dead band lately. Check for amateur station in the 15-meter band. Not a lot. Actually, can't wait to have basically the propagation, but more propagation of February, March. Just heard some kind of radar. And I want to have, you know, the longer days of February or March. I think it's going to be more interesting. And the tuning of the band is going to be more fun. For those that wonder, I'm using a 100 feet wire, north-south position outside in the backyard. It's about 20 feet high, and it's 100 feet long, north-south direction. WWV on 20 megahertz. Not super strong, but it's there. What's the frequency for Tirana? 7465? Jordan? Try tuning. I think it's 7465. I'll just try it to see. It's there in the noise. If I had less noise, I'd be hearing Tirana on 7465. It's just too noisy. Hey, Scotty Tier 6 from Toronto. Welcome to the hangout. And nice to have you on board. Hey, PLF. Really quiet higher bands. As I'm tuning around, I can see that there's not a lot of signals on the higher bands. On the 60-meter band, it's rather quiet. I think this is the most quiet that I've seen these bands.
There's several things on the mind.
Weather staircase.
One of them
It's the end of the world, so let's listen to Shortwave.
among God's people.
From WRMI in Florida.
going on and what is unfolding. Just a few moments ago, I talked to one of my daughters, and
DX the cat has spent a whole week here, and yesterday he went outside a little bit and decided that he wanted to go back to where he came from for an evening. Now, I have a nice story about what's happening with DX. On Christmas, the party, since it was really warm and there was no snow, for part of the evening, me and a few friends were in the backyard watching the stars in the sky around 3 a.m. And the lady came out. She wasn't sleeping, and she started talking with us. And she actually was telling me that she will probably be moving soon, and that since DX loves me so much, she wants to give me the cat. So now it's almost a love affair between me and that lady because she wants to give me DX. So yesterday DX went over there. She actually texted me on my phone this morning at 7 a.m. to say, if you want to have DX back, I'm leaving for 2 days. He's going to be stuck inside the home. But I was sleeping, so I didn't get the text, basically. And finally, DX is at her house for the weekend. But she's been really nice lately, so it's really cool. Maybe some Christmas spirit in there. I don't know. Hey KYDX, welcome to the hangout. GB73D, welcome to the hangout. GB73 says 17530, nothing there on 30 miles west of London in the UK. No, actually, you know, that lady, what she was telling me at Christmas, she noticed that the cat really seems to love me and that he always wants to go out. And every time she lets him out, she noticed that he doesn't want to go around and play. He just comes directly at my home. He wants to see me. And even on Christmas, he was outside in the backyard, and he came close. And instead of going to see her, he jumped on my lap and wanted to see me. And she said, "Look, the cat loves you. I want to give you the cat." Oh, that's cool, Calvin. And it's just so fun. You know what? I'm in love with the cat. So I can tell you, I'm in love with DX. Some kind of digital transmission on 17094 sounds like some kind of ARQ, or I don't know. Well, yeah, for sure. Better than going to a shelter. Actually, I probably hinted a little bit because once I told her, I said, you know, I don't want to steal your cat. The cat comes over and he's just so beautiful and just so so cute and just so, you know, nice that I can't, you know, I like him. And I told her, if you ever don't want the cat anymore, think of me, because I want to have that cat. I don't want the cat to go to a shelter for sure. Hey, Shortwave guest. Yeah, I can. It's not very good. You know, Montreal is a pretty big city, so it was not fantastic sky, but it's there. And at Christmas night at 3 a.m., we were watching Venus. That was on the east. We were watching one of the constellations that I find the most beautiful in the sky, which is Orion. And also there was the full moon and people were amazed at the facts that I know about astronomy. So it was, everybody was listening. I was talking that, the full moon at Christmas was the first full moon since 1977 that fell on Christmas Day. And I think the next one's only in 2032 or something like that. So, and I used to have a telescope. I used to have a 6-inch telescope, 6-inch diameter, and do a lot of astronomy. I did a lot of astronomy when I was young. Shortwave, I had actually my shortwave radio outside, listening to some station in the 80s, and the telescope and watching, Saturn's rings and stuff like that. I have a big interest in astronomy, and that's why I am knowledgeable about not only the shortwave and the astronomy, but when I talk about solar activity, I know how the sun works. I know what's happening, the interaction, because I am interested also in astronomy. So my knowledge completes here with shortwave and the solar cycle and everything that's happening. Oh yeah, Peace Eckler, I did see your bike camping trip in Quebec was fantastic. And yeah, for sure. When if you go somewhere where it's pretty dark, in Montreal here, seeing aurora borealis is exceptional. I don't think we see them more than once, maybe twice a year, and that's on a good year. But as soon as you leave Montreal and the sky gets really dark, I would say that somebody in a very dark environment, about 50 or 100 miles from Montreal, probably sees aurora borealis at least 30 or 40 times a year. Rootcake, my profession is computer tech, and I'm self-employed computer tech. But I can almost say that my profession now is almost YouTuber, full-time YouTuber, as I fix less and less computers and do more and more YouTube stuff, and get an okay, we'll call it like this, an okay pay from YouTube for all that I do everywhere. I don't have just the shortwave channel. I got about 20 channels, ranging from computers to Windows to all sorts of things that interest me, and so on. So every time I get an idea about something that I like, I just put a YouTube channel on and start posting videos. Part of it, of the radio and astronomy side, Ranger 7, is I have a very big interest, and I'll be talking about that in the VHF UHF channel. One of the things I probably like the most is listening to amateur radio satellites on the VHF UHF range. Also, even if you can't decode anything, just catching signals from any satellites, like the Cosmos satellites, navigation from Russia around 150 megahertz, what the ARBCOM satellites on 137 megahertz, NOAA weather satellites, and so on. So I have a very big interest with that. Hey, Sunbird 90, yes, there will be a hangout tomorrow. I'm having a hangout tomorrow. We'll talk about software-defined radios, so we can share our knowledge together, and have fun with that. So tomorrow is a hangout at 2100, talking about software-defined radios. Well, Ranger 7, you know what? I don't advertise that much my channels, because some of the channels are rather crappy. So I got crappy channels, I got good channels. And I just get an idea that pops up in my mind, and I just start a channel with it. And after a while, if I see that it's too crappy or uninteresting, I just stop. Rad Surfer, yeah. Military airband. I used to listen a lot from 200 to 350 megahertz. But there's almost nothing to listen to here in Montreal on that frequency range. And the reason is, in the 80s, here in Montreal, we had a base that had some military stuff happening. And there were some military planes going to St. Hubert Airport, which is just south of Montreal. And I could also catch the Plattsburgh, Vermont air base. There was a big air base in northern New York. And when they were doing exercise, well, when the planes were up, I could hear them on the band. So in the 80s, I would listen a lot to the military air band on 200 to 350. But now, there's just nothing to listen to pretty much here now.
This verse. My flesh goes like this.
WWCR on 15825.
And then the Spirit says, no. And wait, my spirit, not the Holy Spirit. The born again me says, hey, I know what I need to do. And I need to put God first.
GB73D, ARPCOM, I have it's a paid software, and I never did pay for it, so I only had the trial version, but there's a software that decodes the ARPCOM signal, and I've used it for the 30-day trial. Works very well, and it gives you all the details, what ARPCOM satellite it is, and so on. It's cool.
On God's food. You're not eating the Word of God. You come in here and your little halo going on. You're glowing.
Yeah, Ranger 7, that's something I've never done. Actually, I've tried a few times, and for some reason, never got an image. But now that I'll be going back and, be more intense in the VHF, UHF stuff, I'm really going to, try to decode these images from the NOAA satellites.
Watch what happened.
Second World War and the problems that we're seeing.
This is WEWN from the United States, 15610.
East Asia. And you were mentioning before the break, George, that doesn't look very good. Now we've got these two poles in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and Iran, which are going to further inflame sectarian division. And from the United States, we've got...
Yes, Calvin. Actually, Jordan is doing it right now. We can tune his SDR online, and that's one thing I want to do. Actually, put my SDR online and start tuning around. And actually, the icon you see here, that's one thing that I'd like. I'd like this icon because I have all the cables, everything's plugged in. I just need to do it. I want to put this icon online so that everybody can tune it, and I want to put it on global tuners. And so if you guys wanted to tune from Montreal with my icon, you could do so, and I just leave it on 24 hours. And the only times I'd just basically put it offline is when I want to use it, and then when I'm finished with it, I just put it back online, and you guys could tune around to my icon. I think that would be really cool.
These candidates, whether you're in Iowa going to a caucus, you're in New Hampshire going to a town meeting, or wherever, what do you think about the fact that Putin is reconstructing something resembling the Soviet Empire in Eastern Europe? What do you think about the fact that China is muscling all over the South, all over East Asia, even as its economy?
Yeah, well, Twitch is great for video games and stuff like that. But once you're out of the video game, and even YouTube is pretty strong. The people that make the most money on YouTube right now is like PewDiePie, just playing games. And one of the things that probably doesn't help me is that the average age of a YouTube viewer is about 17 years old. So the majority of YouTube viewers are very young and don't really care about shortwave, don't really care about computer, learning Windows or whatever. So I actually am attracting an audience that's probably like 40 years or older, and which is pretty good if you consider that 40 years or older, not everybody goes on YouTube.
It's not just about the Dow Jones.
That's Voice of America 15580, and I'm just gonna get my my list here because I want to know from where it is. Sorry for muting the audio, but since YouTube always wants to stop monetization on videos with, of course, music, I just don't want to take the time to cut everything out. So 15580 is Voice of America, and it's from relay station. Is it from Africa or from Greenville? That's what I want to know. So 15580 right now, Voice of America is from Greenville and the United States.
This is Heather, Music Time in Africa. You just heard Fali Ipupa and Barbara Cannon from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
It's very weak, but on 15555, I get WJHR in Milton, Florida. Fifteen 370. This is Radio Havana, Cuba, out of in French right now. Hey VK, welcome to the hangout.
Ce qui est étudié par plusieurs secteurs, permettrait de donner un important élan à l'économie haïtienne et d'effacer les traces de
6080, just try it. There's something there, but it's rather weak on 6080. Too weak to make out, basically, Jordan. And now we're at WWV on 15 megahertz. Higher noise level than usual today. I'm wondering. I did check my antenna, and you know what? I've got a nice little story here. Thank God I put up my 100 feet wire, because the other wire that I was using as my antenna snapped around New Year's Eve because there were high winds, and it snapped. So I'm lucky I at least have that 100 feet wire there. Nope, didn't have it yet, Jerwandi. I've ordered from Amazon Canada, and I should have it eventually. They still don't know when they're gonna ship it, so that's the complex thing here. Well, obviously, guys, like, Peace Tector says, I'm 60 written code that works with YouTube. There are exceptions to the rules, obviously. Even I'm not the average age of a YouTuber, basically. I'm going to be 47 in March. So, most people that become YouTubers are probably more like 20 years old.
So DX Charlie Charlie, back to you, over.
No Sunbird 90, DX the cat is at the neighbor's house for the weekend. She's out of town, so he can't get out to come over.
Up one bit at all, but I think I'm still doing pretty good, so I guess I'm gonna leave it the way it is and just start talking and just I'm trying to get all my tuning settings in my book over here so that I'll have it right over here, so I won't have to press buttons and turn it off like crazy. I already have it set just ready to go. Over.
So it took to the point where it wasn't fun anymore. And so I said, now is the time to get out. So I've been retired 29 years. Also retired out of the Army. I was in during the Korean War. I was a draft dodger during the Korean War.
Oh, for sure, QIDX, I'm going to have a DX the cat channel and just post cat videos. I wonder if, you know, a channel with like hundreds and hundreds of cat videos.
Right in the Army Reserve. I did this 6 years, and then I bought a ferry boat across the
World Radio TV Handbook comes up to about 60 Canadian dollars here. Part of the problem is that the Canadian dollar is so weak that it's just so expensive to buy anything from outside of Canada now.
I landed in the Iowa River, and the guys in Iowa always laugh to say the Iowa is too thick to drink and too thin to plow. So it has lots and lots of children, that's for sure. So back to A1.
Now I know Scotty TRC cat videos on YouTube. That they'll never catch on. That's for sure.
And I kept thinking that it would leave, so I carried it to the animal shelter, put it so it would be up for adoption, and someone found a home for it. And I was going to bring it to you, but it was only about 8,000 miles.
I'd actually be a little kind of not pissed off, but I would wonder where society is going if I would put like 100 cat videos up, and that would become my best channel. I don't know. I would think society is really kind of mental. Hello, Harry. Welcome to the hangout.
It's really nice. It has line numbers and has marks across the top of the page for column position. If certain type things can be done in different colors, even if you're not really formatting the font, you know, to have colors. But just when you start indenting.
You know, the other day I posted a video on my Windows channel that got like, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 views in about 3 weeks. And while checking out, you know, the little previews of other videos, there's this guy that farts, and he's got like 35 million views in 6 months. And I'm like, okay, seriously, this is crazy.
With that, we're going to play that one by ear. So have a great day, Kevin. Thanks for checking in, man. Take care. See you later. Over to you, Joe. W5JI in the group. WA3JB60.
Yeah, very good. Awfully good hearing you, Kevin. And Frank, nice hearing you. And reminded you came by before Kevin got away. He was going to go do something. Have a good one, Kevin. Enjoyed it.
You know, even here, I look at my Facebook. I've got, I don't know, like 200 friends on Facebook. And I used to have a lot more. But at some point, you know what? You realize that even the people around you that you've met, it's like, you know, the society, the whole society is like completely gone mental. It's just incredible.
Shot here. Out aircraft calling Mars Radio. This is 5 Delta Juliet. Say again your call sign, please. Over.
Hey, Mars, this is a MarsNet 13927, upper sideband.
646, is that what you're saying? Over. 646. Update. Recorded. The kilo at 2054.
Audio is direct. I've actually hooked it up direct. And you know what? I've done tests and I don't see a difference. It really seems to be a compression from the hangouts. So 13927, a MarsNet. This is military affiliate radio system. So this is U.S. military, and they're having a net.
Sounds like a digital signal on top of your signal. Do you have another radio running at that time? Over. This is 646. I'll set off the other HF. So I do. Stand by. This is 646. Better? Over. Yeah, 646. This is 5 Delta Juliet. That's better. If it's not classified, could you give me a location, a rough location? Over. I'm in Minnesota. Over. 5 Delta Juliet.
Pretty good signal, even in Atlanta, Georgia. Richard's getting the MarsNet. Ranger 7 has MarsNet also. Yeah, they're operators from the U.S. Air Force. Actually, what's nice, when they ID, you can actually Google their ID, and most of the time, you'll come up on the pages of the MarsNets from the U.S. Air Force and know where they are, their location in the United States.
This is 5 Delta Juliet, King 46. Go ahead, I'm ready to copy numbers. Over. 5 Delta Juliet.
The MarsNet is from the U.S. Air Force. There used to be MarsNet for U.S. Air Force and a MarsNet for the maritime. What do you call them? The Marines type. And basically, they've kind of really made it much smaller. So most of the MarsNet we see now is from the U.S. Air Force. Yeah, the Navy Ranger. The Navy Mars is kind of gone. There's just ain't anymore. I know that there were kind of part of it that was kind of put together with the Air Force, but it seems that now it's only Air Force. I always enjoy that. You know, there's something nice about this, even though I don't understand much. Just the fact that you're listening to, you know, the military or the Air Force and stuff like that. It's just cool.
I'm not at the Guard Bureau, if that's what you're asking, over.
Glad you love your Texan PL 680, Calvin. It is an amazing radio. I mean, I give it the best receiver of 2015 award. And I even give it, for now, one of the best radios you can buy out there if you want to spend just, you know, less than 150 bucks. That's sure going to be a cool radio. The PL 880 is a great receiver. Most of the difference, Anton 7474 comes in the amazing sync detector of the PL680. But for the rest, sensitivity-wise and all of that, it's pretty much the same. If you have a 660, it's not worth getting a 680. If you don't have any, get the 680.
King 46, this is 5 Delta Juliet. We have your party on the line. You speak first, please, and both parties, please use over. Over. King 46, this Minuteman. Got you very weak, the Revo. Go ahead. This is King 46. Copy. Over.
Yeah, Roger. Military auxiliary radio system. I always say affiliate, but it's auxiliary. But when you search for the IDs or the call signs, you'll see that most of them are Air Force.
King 46, copy all but your next station. Say again. Over.
Yeah, the thing is, Calvin, these receivers are so sensitive that using an active antenna that also amplifies probably is too much for the receiver's input. I'm not surprised at that type of result, but it's, you know, just on its own, it's probably already pretty good.
Over. Romeo Bravo. Over. King 46. I think you wanted to confirm confirmation. Roger. Yeah, that's me. Anything else you need to pass on for you?
AM Walmsley, Blackpool, UK, says that 15610 can detect a carrier when he's on USB, and he's using an ICOM R71 that he's had since 1987. Great radio. ICOM R71 is a great receiver. Thanks for checking in via email.
4-3.
Andrew.
Pass these times on to that number.
Hey, Calvin, thanks for sending the QSL and CRI pictures. Nice to see the China radio pictures and QSL from Radio Romania and China Radio.
Say again, you were coming in very broken that time. Over.
You know, it's easy to go over this because, you know, when there are times when some of the stations you don't hear, actually. I would have passed through without ever knowing that the net was going on. And that's why sometimes tuning slowly. There's also, you know,
Are you requesting another DSN phone patch over?
I've got like a really kind of keen ear sight. You know, I can listen and just tune around, and my ear tells me there's something there.
6543. Stand by while I check with NCS. Stand by. Out. Net control. This is 5 Delta Juliet. King 46 needs another phone patch over.
As far as I know, you're the only one copying. Good, go ahead and do it. Take a hit. Go ahead, over.
Roger. Out. King 46. This is 5 Delta Juliet. Stand by while I call you. I'll see you. Send number. King 46 75. Over.
Well, you know what, Calvin? That Radio Romania one is the one you're going to remember all your life. You'll always remember that you heard, that you got the first QSL from Radio Romania. Like I will never forget my first QSL from WRFR.
tragic that people don't understand that it is that shield of faith.
The annoying woman on 13845 from WWCR in United States, really strong.
Looks like, you know,
Almost overloading the radio, man.
that special aim specifically to hit the target, lets it go. And think about all of these flaming arrows aimed at the believer. And I began to kind of put this in perspective of the diversity of things that might come to a believer. If you think about it, they're probably quite common, more common.
Entonces, pero le digo yo a él de que yo soy handicap. Estoy en silla de ruedas. Pero él me dice, con 2 o 3 personas que vayan a visitar lo pueden hacer. Entonces voy a hacer eso. Yo voy a investigar en la parroquia lo que yo he visto. Y con respecto a la obra de misericordia que ustedes están mencionando, a mí me dieron otra silla, el seguro me dio otra silla.
WEWN from the United States in Spanish.
Amigos que se encargan de recolectar para los asilos y para la gente pobre en mi país, El Salvador, donaciones y los que las necesiten. Y yo le llamo.
Yeah, PLF for sure. I'm going to do one. I'm just waiting for propagation to kind of get a little better and set up the PL680 right. Actually, I've been thinking that this summer, maybe I could do some hangouts with portable receivers from outside on the, you know, when it's beautiful on my balcony outside, doing some kind of tuning the band hangouts direct from outside with portable radios. That's Voice of America, and but from Botswana in some kind of African language. Hello, Simon in UK. Welcome to the Hangout. Hey, Driver Films. I think I've forgot to mention you. Welcome. Driver Film says Hangouts keep freezing for me. Switching to YouTube.
Bermuda, wind 290.
New York radio with its aeronautical weather 13270. New York radio, upper sideband.
500 broken, 2,500 broken, 1,000 broken.
Well, Jerwin D, if Hangouts make you happy, you know, that's all I ask. I just love making them also. It's fun to share. You know, I have the impression, even though we don't see each other, it's still like if we're in a big room and having fun and listening to Shortwave and just chatting together. That's cool. And for those that just joined, don't forget, there's another Hangout tomorrow, 2100 hours UTC. We're going to talk about software to find radios.
2.19.
So this is New York Volmet, New York radio, weather.
This is
that seem to have just dropped off the air. Calvin DX is going to not be here for the weekend. Actually, the neighbor texted me this morning at 7 a.m. to tell me if I wanted to have DX. She was leaving for 2 days or 3 days. And since I was sleeping, I didn't get the text. If I would have been up, of course, I would have opened the door for DX. And he would have been here all weekend.
Mas criai-os na doutrina e admoestação do Senhor.
WTWW out of the United States.
O Senhor, segundo a carne, com temor e tremor, na sinceridade de vosso coração, como a Cristo, não servindo à vista, como para agradar aos homens, mas como servo.
Yeah, I like to start up in the frequencies, even if you guys in Europe don't hear it, because it's still like, you know, the sun set here in about 25 minutes ago now. So I'd like to, you know, at least give you a little shot of what I could hear that maybe you can't, but see what's on at the same time.
Deixando as ameaças.
Vete a hablar con él a solas para reprochárselo. Si te escucha, haz agradable a Chatroom. Si no te escucha, toma contigo una o dos personas más, de modo que el caso se decida por la palabra de Dios o 3 testigos. Si se niega a escucharlo.
Yeah, Ari, if you missed it a little earlier, I was telling everyone that at Christmas Eve, not when I had my party, was outside and we talked, and she was actually telling me that she is going to give me, she's going to move, and that she sees that DX actually loves me a lot, so she's going to give me the cat. So DX is going to be here permanently eventually.
Este es el año de la misericordia, estamos llamados.
Yeah, PLF, it's pretty much gray line right now in Montreal, so it's the time where I can get some interesting DX when tuning around. That's why I like to tune all the frequency ranges, see what I can hear.
Queda bien claro que si ustedes perdonan las ofensas de los hombres, también el Padre Celestial los perdonará. En cambio, si no perdonan las ofensas de los hombres, tampoco el Padre los perdonará a ustedes. Mateo 6:14.
Ahora viene otra, consolar al triste. El consuelo para el triste o
So this is WEWN from the United States.
y es
8 años. Yo estaba con él backstage con el músico.
Radio Marti from the United States. This is transmissions to Cuba.
Y con Andy García. Y este momento quedó recordado para mí, un asunto familiar. Esta es la última vez que yo lo vi a él. Hace un par de semanas, con uno de los niños.
My part of those days. And I also see the pattern.
Caribbean beacon out of the island of Anguilla, 11775 from the Caribbean.
Maybe the data to connect with you, but it's always the same thing. So I decided this is the subject we need to camp out on a little bit.
Yeah, GB73. Well, you know what? The real name of the cat is Paul, like Paul McCartney. But I prefer DX. I think it's a great name for a cat, especially that he's going to be with a radio guy. But I was testing the other day. In French, we often say minou for a small cat. And I was testing Paul, minou, and DX. And basically, every time I said minou, he would look at me, but DX and Paul would never do anything.
Yeah, a lot of things are going to occur. Decisions.
All India radio, not very strong, but they're on 11670. WRMI with Brother Stair, 11580. You can see conditions are not that great when WRMI barely is strong enough to make a good signal here for me. Yeah, technically, but I'll try to call him DX as much as I can, and eventually he's gonna respond to DX. Hey, River, with 11810 BBC. I passed over it. Was too weak to really mention here. Yeah, Andrew has a question about dipoles on HF. If I've ever used dipoles. When I was younger, I had some dipoles. I did put up dipoles of all sorts of lengths for shortwave. The thing is, you know what? Dipoles, when I would say that because Andrew says he's got a long dipole that actually it resonates at 4 megahertz. And I would, from my experience, I would say that the good signals you get are probably more, even though dipoles are great, okay, and when cut for a specific frequency, they are vastly superior. I mean, if you have it for 4 megahertz, it means at 4 megahertz, what you receive there is just amazingly good. But overall, because it is not, you know, it's specific to a frequency, like a random wire resonates somewhere. You know, my 100 feet wire resonates at a frequency somewhere. I need to have some kind of spectrum analyzer to see where. But I think the fact that you have great signals probably is much more because you have very long wires on your dipole, and it's probably positioned also in a way that you have not too much noise. Than the fact that it's a long wire versus a dipole. But a dipole for a specific frequency is, of course, superior. Dipoles, yeah. You know, all radios have a point where they overload. It all depends on where you put these antennas. I've tested some Texan radios, and I can tell you that like the PL680 handles pretty well a long wire, but another like the PL600 overloads like crazy on a long wire. So it depends on the Texan you'll put on that dipole for sure. Well, that would work great, Harry. Try it. Dalibor, I've heard UVB76 long time ago when the noise levels were lower here in Montreal, but I haven't heard them in years.
Temperature at -14, dew point -21. This is Gander Radio out. All stations. This is New York Radio. Time 2200 Zulu. Terminal aerodrome forecast for the period ending 0700 Zulu. Detroit, update from 2100 Zulu. Wind 120 at 5. Visibility 2. Mist. Ceiling 500 overcast. From 0000.
One thing for sure, Andrew, with that dipole you have that resonates around 4 megahertz, I really like to see what kind of reception you get with your radio.
400 overcast.
كيف استمرت الأعداء سلطان؟ والله شوف المواد الحجازية نادر من الشباب اللي يتمكنون ما شاء الله عليهم متمكنين يمارس مواصفات يكون واثق من الشيء يعني إتقانها يحتاج إلى مساحة كبيرة بالصوت قدرة كبيرة هو بس جرب إنه يقول من الشيء هذا جرب لكن يحتاج وقت.
Broadcasting of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 9870.
الموال الحجازي ما شاء الله طيب ابو باسل نبي نسمع منك في حاجه مثلا دائما ترددها بينك وبين المشهود.
No, brother Staircusel, Sunbird, haven't even thought of writing to get one. I can see myself already writing my report. Boring talk about Jesus at 22:05 UTC. The world will end soon at 22:07 UTC. You got mad at us because we don't respect the rules of God at 20:05 and 38 seconds. And you told that the world is only 6,000 years old at 22:15.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches, Sandra. Nos quedamos en
Radio Exterior de España, 9690, really good signal.
Y es que el jefe de la policía de esta ciudad ha sido destituido tras los graves sucesos registrados en Nochevieja en el centro de la ciudad, por los que se han registrado ya más de 170 denuncias de agresiones sexuales y robos a mujeres. El ministro del Interior alemán señala que
Dalibor, if Brother Stairs your first shortwave memory, that means actually that it must be your first shortwave nightmare.
También con vistas a los próximos acontecimientos importantes en Colonia.
otra de las tendencias de hoy nos lleva al cine. Es Roy Batty.
Lo es cosa fácil conocer a tu creador. ¿Y qué puedo hacer yo por ti?
Roy Batty es el replicante de Blade Runner y según la película de Ridley Scott hoy habría nacido este...
Scotty yours. The screaming preacher, wow.
Harrison Ford, hasta que ese momento quería acabar con él, darle muerte. Entonces Batty pronuncia el famoso soliloquio.
Yo he visto cosas que vosotros no creeríais.
Tiene sentido hacer todo lo que podamos para evitar que...
Radio Marti 9565, but with almost equal noise from the jamming of Cuba here.
Permiten que alguien que quiera comprar armas en un estado en donde no se le revisan sus antecedentes lo pueda hacer sin problema y luego ir a otro estado, volver a vender su arma y obtener una ganancia. El foro tuvo lugares.
Take care, Ranger 7. Always welcome. Don't forget, tomorrow, another hangout, 2100. Yeah, I know Flash Player is a pain in the butt. I on my Windows channel, I always tell everyone how the too many updates of Flash Player just means that it's a hazard when you go on the web. This is HCJB with a station called Muhifra Hagbar, coming from the Ascension Islands relay in the South Atlantic. Yeah, the general email number that I use for the Windows computer channel is helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com. All I can say, Simon, UK, is that every country has its mental patients, and that's for sure. Even here in Canada, we got a few.
On the transmitter, but we have 12 transmitters that carry the broadcast 24 hours per day with a total of over 40-some different frequencies all the time. And are you impressed? Oh, no. So-and-so does that. Alex Jones does this, and so-and-so does that. Well, this is not something that so-and-so does. This is something that God has done in defiance of all principles of broadcasting, of all principles of theology, and that he uses an offshore, rejects like R.G. Stair to preach a message to the world. Praise the Lord. Have you noticed in the news how they're talking about the economy? Second again, I think Macy's is shutting 50 stores. One of the most acceptable department stores in America is shutting 50 stores, laying off staff.
Man, just incredible. So many frequencies. How much money is this guy spending on broadcast?
It's finally catching up with them. They're cutting back because they're not going to, the big boy.
Not very strong, but 9445 is India. Here, India on that frequency in about a month will be amazingly strong. India, it's interesting because to give you guys a pattern of propagation that I've noticed here. India, 9445, 11670 are both frequencies that get to North America around this time. In deep winter, like now, just close to the winter solstice, 9445 barely makes it. It's there, but barely makes it. But as we'll get into spring, 9445 will get real strong. It's going to be the best frequency. It's going to be amazingly good. Then as we go into past the month of March, it's 11670 that's going to start getting real strong. And then at the big, and middle summer, June, July, none of these frequencies is going to make it real well here. August, 11670 going to come back. Then September, October, 9445 is going to come back. And then it's going to go back to very weak in the winter time. It's an interesting pattern because it's fun to see how propagation works throughout a full year with different frequencies. Some kind of tone on 9420, which is Greece. There's some kind of tone. Andrew says, have you ever ventured into Mediumwave DX? Got 300 plus beverage on the ground, which is pretty good down there for Mediumwave. I've had much success with North Americans. A long time ago, I had about 150 to 200 feet wire at some point, and the noise was really low. So I did hear, I'd say in the early 90s, a regular here was the Norwegian station on medium wave on what was it, on 1314? I think it was 1314 kilohertz. And I would hear that pretty regularly with that. But now I've got too much noise on medium wave to do anything. And by the way, a beverage, just technically, I think a beverage, you know, at 300 feet, I agree that it's a beverage, but the technical term of a beverage, I think puts the antenna at something like 1,000 feet, which is insane, completely insane. But, you know, that's a beverage. 300, I wish I'd had the 300 feet wire and see what I can get with that, for sure.
Well, anything back. And you're saying that blood.
WRMI with True News on 9395 kilohertz. You know, every time I tune 9395 now, all I get in my head is Global 24 radio.
There's a most sacred tone.
Yep, Richard, there's the carry on 9400. I got it also here. Some carrier.
Every year, ever since we started this ministry, almost 18 years now. Last 17 years, I have brought everything in this Christmas card just to us. I make it just, it's just my little thing I like to do. I like to really
problem with Greece is that, you know, Junior said, are they coming back with English programs, French and English? They barely have the money to just keep up the broadcast right now. So I don't expect to have any English or French much out of Greece. But it's like 10 minutes. If I'm not mistaken, Jordan, the English they have is like a 10-minute bulletin or something.
That's true. Thank you for bringing the practice on the show.
Stone Kingdom Ministries has been a member distributor of our products for going on, I think, 17 years now. And despite the trouble, trial, tribulation I'm going to now share with you, I still have the utmost confidence that their essential oils are the best in the world, bar none, insofar as their therapeutic qualities are concerned. If you just want something that smells good, yeah, go buy it at a health food store. If you want something, oh, I can't say that. That works. I can't say that. Never mind. Well, over the years, I have had numerous
9350 WWCR with talk on essential oils and whatever.
Oils. I also had a separate replicated Young Living website, which I linked to on my Stone Kingdom.
Yeah, 9555 is Saudi Arabia.
This congregation this morning said, hey, I was trying to get to your Young Living website and the link wouldn't work. And, well, you're now going to hear why. By the way, and we will get this all fixed, but it's a while coming. By the way, let me throw in here a plug for one of the best books on this subject of essential oils. It is called Healing Oils of the Bible. We've carried it for years. It's still the best. It's by Dr. David Stewart. Healing Oils of the Bible.
Healing Oils of the Bible. Man, you know, the amount of new stupid things that I hear all the time on these stations, incredible. I don't know if it's the wine talking or I'm just annoyed at just all that crap that they're talking about.
Living must be in compliance with their updated policies and procedures regarding making any health claims. I ignored it because...
Yeah, I guess don't bookmark the link, because if you bookmark the link, you will not see the shows. This link is a new link every show. So if you bookmark this link, all you'll have is this show all the time. This is regular. Every week we have something at 2100 hours UTC on Fridays now. Next week will be the VHF UHF hangout. We'll talk about scanner radios. Tomorrow we'll have a hangout talking about software-defined radio. So best, if you want to get the link to the video feed, send me an email at officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. I will add you to my list of notifications, and I'll send out the link about an hour before each show.
I quickly called Young Living and I said, hey, what's going on here? I thought I was in compliance. So I was put in touch with their legal compliance people who gave me some very exact and specific instances. Now, by the way, they had been doing this to every member distributor's websites, whether it was their Young Living replicating website or another one like my own separate Stone Kingdom website, which linked to it. And they have this automated software thing that crawls through all of these and finds trigger words. I mean, these people don't have the time.
Yes, Scotty TR6 9110 is Boston. It's Weatherfax from Boston. Another brother stare frequency on 7570 kilohertz from WRMI.
Right, well, have you noticed in the news how they're talking about it? It's lazy. It's 750
And by the way, all the shows are recorded on the YouTube channel. So if you miss out on the show, you can watch the rerun on the YouTube channel. Hey, Danielle from TO, welcome to the Hangout. Radio Marti from the United States, 7405.
Políticamente no puede hacer mucho porque la presidenta está acusada y es posible que haya un juicio político. Así que tampoco Brasil en ese sentido puede adoptar una posición práctica. O sea, todas estas cosas que estarían en juego está el campo político de Venezuela. Así que, en resumen, yo creo que esto es una información importante para nuestros oyentes de Cuba. Y la próxima vez que hablemos vamos a hacer un resumen de qué es lo que se puede esperar.
By the way, a little story about Christmas lights. In the living room here, we have a set of 200 Christmas lights that, you know, blink at different rates. So it gets like a pattern, and there's like maybe 50 patterns in the light. So sometimes they're fast, slow, and so on. The other day, I take my Texan PL 680, and I decide to just lie down on the couch in the living room and tune the radio while watching TV. And I start wondering that I have this buzzing sound that's sometimes there, sometimes not. And sometimes it's a different pitch, and I just don't, get the drift. And suddenly, while I'm watching the Christmas lights, it gets to me. Every time the pattern changes, the buzzing changes frequency, and the buzzing is different. And I was like, okay, these are the Christmas lights. The buzzing is from the Christmas lights in the window. And it was just amazing. Every time it would change pattern, it changed frequency, it's changing pitch. And it could, I was trying to DX a little bit, not DX, but listen to US stations in the medium wave band. Every time every 4 patterns, the buzzing would actually wipe out the medium wave band. Even local stations were inaudible. And then it would go and have other patterns, and then it would come back in another pattern. It was amazing. So Christmas lights, especially the ones that blink and change rate and do all sorts of crazy stuff, they do a lot of interference. This is also Boston Weatherfax. 6340 is also Boston Weatherfax. This is probably one of the best frequencies here. When I wanted to code weather charts, 6340 around there. Channel Radio International from Albania transmitter site in Spanish 6175. Hey Andrew, thanks for the link. I've never been to this website before. I've never. If anybody wants to go to a website, mwlist.org. I'm going to put it in the chat room here. mwlist.org. Interesting. It says MW list, long wave, medium wave, tropical bands, and shortwave radio database. Well, thanks for the info. I'm going to check that tonight for sure. Sounds interesting. There's even RSS feeds. Wow, that's cool. I'm going to check that. Even some text files for Perseus and stuff like that. Sounds really interesting as a website. Thanks for sharing that with everyone, Andrew. I did not at all know of the existence of this website. You know what? Every 6 months, I always think, okay, you should do a new search on Google for shortwave or for medium wave, for whatever, because there's always these new things popping up. There's always something that's been there for a long time, but you've never came across or you've never seen that website. So thanks for sharing it with us. Looks interesting. I'm going to take a look at it for sure and maybe even make a video. mwlist.org. You know, propagation tonight is definitely crappy because at this time, I should hear CFRX on 6070. It's there, but it's not as strong as I'm used to listening to it. This is CFRX in Toronto. Let's just compare the medium wave frequency and the shortwave one. Well, I get only noise. Okay. Yeah, nothing yet. It's still a little early for CFRX. And usually I hear 6160 CKZN in St. John's real good. Nothing. Very weak tonight. So propagation isn't that great today. Now we're talking of quadcopters. You're going to be jealous. I ordered a $300 quadcopter from Amazon that I should get Monday or Tuesday. And I'll be making tons of videos on a new YouTube channel that I'll be opening up. That's going to be the quad. Well, actually, it's already open, but there's no videos. The quad, I'll call it, it's called, well, I don't have the URL because you need 500 subs before you can change the name, but I want to call it Quadcopter Heaven or something like that, and post tons of videos of you know, flying the quadcopter and having its HD camera take videos of all around town basically. So hope you're not jealous. Yeah, Harry. I'm gonna put a wire on it and like fly it real high. By the way, for you guys that know a little bit about amateur radio, you guys know that there's a 60-meter band, 5 channels of amateur radio here that can be used. And I was reading in the Spectrum Monitor that there are new frequencies opening up in 2017, and that these new frequencies will be, because the problem right now with the 60-meter band is that most countries have their own band plan, so frequencies don't match up between countries all the time. Well, the new frequencies that will be available in 2017 are all kind of universal. All countries will have the same frequencies. All that needs to be is that they will have to, of course, be approved by each country. But that's going to be interesting. So slowly, the 60-meter band for amateur radio is expanding. By the way, this is an amateur radio JT65 digital mode 5357.5 is one of those frequencies. The only thing I'm scared of, Harry, is that I'm going to crash the quadcopter. The reason I bought it now is because the Canadian government is actually thinking of requiring some kind of license to have one if you buy one. So I decided, why not buy it right now? And we'll see after. That's like in the United States. Now it's required, I think, to register your, you have to register if you have a quadcopter in the US now, I think. Cuba, Radio Rebelde 5025, and Radio Havana Cuba 5040, but still weak here. Still a little early in the evening for that. The problem here is probably like everywhere. More and more plane pilots are complaining that people, you know, stupid dumbass people use their quadcopter and fly around airports and stuff like that. Personally, if you use your quadcopter near an airport, you should not even be allowed to have a quadcopter for the rest of your life. Hey, HF in Canada. Yep, we're an hour and a half into the show right now. And so we're continuing. So at least you've joined while we are tuning the bands. Don't rush too much, HF in Canada. You know what? I don't want to have or be concerned by the fact that somebody died in, you know, an accident, and I could see in the newspaper, died in an accident because he wanted so bad to see a shortwave radio hangout.
Еще 24 бутылки вина по 13 баксов. До Хрякова, блядь, если не приедет, тогда совсем жопу.
Anybody else hearing? 4177 upper sideband. There's some kind of conversation. 4177 upper sideband.
У тебя там много шоколадок осталось, я редко, потому что когда он приезжал, мне там список, я спросил его, что тебе надо. Он мне там список такой зафигачил, я это все купил.
Sounds Russian.
Это все закончилось или это все осталось? Потому что здесь я нашел коробку снекерса, он уже тухнуть начал, уже кушаешь, вкус такой, знаешь, залежалый, как в комиссионке такой, в комиссионке запах, блядь. Ну, и там шоколадок тогда много, там, и народ много берет, там, не успевают все это самое. А посмотрите, один раз берут, другой раз не берут. Когда берут, это хорошо, проблем-то нету. Плохо, когда это начинает лежать, блядь. Вот здесь у меня под телевизором лежала коробка, блядь. Вот. Самому даже пришлось приложиться, но куда делать? Что делать остается? А когда берут, это проблем нет, ради друга. Ну да, ты это, и могу сказать, собирать на улице, я ой, все там только не было. Ну, ты в следующий раз его увидишь, когда забирайся спокойно с собой. Вот просто ради интереса, то есть забирай, нет, не нужно, блядь. Вот. Если еще самое, ну, смотря что, короче, блядь. Что с этим делать?
Hey, SDE, welcome to the Hangout. Yeah, SDR Hangout tomorrow. And I'll be posting a ton of SDR videos I hope people don't go crazy because I'm getting hate mail because I still have people telling me that it shouldn't be on my shortwave channel. It's not a radio. But yeah, SDR. That's not Spanish. 4177 is Russian. Oh, 4132. I'm going to try 4132.
Ну вот надо было, вот я вот
Nothing on 4132 here.
потому что, блядь, я говорю, у меня тут закралось сомнение, что может не приехать.
Yeah, that really sounds like Russian. I don't have any idea what they say, but it really sounds like Russian.
Ну, там я его убить буду, честно говорю.
That's also what I think, Driver Films. It needs an antenna. It is a radio. It's just that the computer is the controls. You know, you got these purists that think that they know everything. It's like amateur radio operators that just aren't, you know, annoying with shortwave radio listeners because they think we're worthless. Well, it seems like the Russian talk on 4177 is gone. So it's was interesting. You know what? That's what I like, though. Even though propagation isn't that fantastic, there's not a lot of stuff. We've heard of Mars station. You know, when I say there's always something on shortwave, you just got to tune around. There was Mars military auxiliary radio system on 13927. And now we had this Russian talk on 4177. There's always something on shortwave. Yeah, Roger, 88MQ. I would be curious to see how many amateur radio operators were shortwave listeners before they became hams.
The Lacan first or the idea first? Okay, I'll try that.
You have the virtual serial port set up?
Yeah, it's up and running. I made sure that everything is okay there.
Money in boxes. Okay.
It's all what Barry's fault. He cheats me.
I think 4177 is just like one of those random signals we get everywhere from people talking with rigs.
Okay. And we'll see what happens.
Back in 30 seconds, guys. I'm just going to have a little refill of my glass of wine. And coming back, we're going to continue tuning the bands. For those that are watching that don't know what the hell this is a shortwave radio tuning live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. It's every 2 weeks on Fridays, 2100 hours UTC. And tomorrow is another hangout, 2100 hours UTC, where we talk about software-defined receivers. And next week, Friday, 2100 hours UTC, our first show for the VHF UHF scanner radio, police scanner, whatever you want to call it. Stop telling me not to call it a police scanner. I just want to use all the terms and the way that different people call it, but it's VHF, UHF frequencies, scanning receivers, whatever you want to call it. Next week, Friday at 2100 hours UTC. And I'm going to go refill my glass of wine, and I'm coming back in 30 seconds.
Yeah, about 12 of them. Well, I don't think they sell them in quarts. They used to only sell them like, I think it was maybe about 16 ounces. That'll be enough. Oh, yeah. If I haven't drank anything in 31 years, probably one shot would do me. Well, what is it? Yeah, Roger. You know, I didn't actually eat maybe 5 years to get me played. No, I was gonna, but she had a beer. She had a beer in her hand as I walked through the door. So I was thinking about having one, but I did not. Wait a minute, you go to CJ and the waitress there has a beer in her hand until you can walk through the door. That's correct. Wow. What is she? You can pull up in the parking lot? Yeah, I parked right out in front of the building, and she was looking out the window, must be, and saw me coming. Maybe they have a camera. Well, that's right, no cameras. No camera. Well, no, she had showed up at this front door with a blade. Would you have taken it? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, what's your name? And I'll call her up and say, show us the blade. Her name is Busher. Busher? Yeah, Busher. What's her last name? Busher. Her name is Karen Bush, and we call her Busher. Why do you call her Busher? That's the nickname she had in high school. She's a very good friend of mine. She actually married one of my friends at the time when I was in school, and we all hung out together. Does she drink as much as you do? She can. I don't know if she can drink as much as I do, but yeah, she consumes some. She consumes some alcohol.
Yeah, HF in Canada, you'll have to be called VHF in Canada or UHF in Canada in the next hangout for the VHF UHF.
I'm a very good driver.
Daniel from TO, you know what? For $10, you can listen to the Airband. If you look at my VHF UHF channel, you'll see that you can use a software-defined receiver, which is a little dongle that's not even $10, and that you can listen to VHF UHF. You'll be able to listen to the Airband. The only catch, you have to plug it on your computer and use your computer to do it. But you know what? For $10, very inexpensive.
From a poster or something that said anyone who walks around with armed guards around them all the time should not be telling anybody else about when and where to carry. Did anybody watch that thing with CNN last night with Obama and the 360 guy there on the Guns in America?
Hey, take care, Junior. Always nice to have everybody on board, by the way. You know, hope that $10 radio is on Amazon, Dalibor. It's available on Amazon and on eBay also. eBay has it for not even $10. It's a TV dongle, an RTL TV dongle. You buy it, you install the driver, the special driver in your Windows machine or any PC, basically, even Macs, and you could basically listen to VHF, UHF, scan the bands, and it's only $10. Yes, there's different one, Calvin. There's some like $10, $20, $30. Depends on, you know, from where you buy it. Depends on what you get with it also. You use a software like SDR Sharp on Windows, HDSDR. There's HDR Touch for Android. Works on Mac also, and basically, it's, you know, inexpensive, and you get a VHF UHF radio.
I guess you can get rid of all 535 of those. You know, the more you say, there's enough of that stuff. I'm not sure you can listen to you.
Oh yeah, these RTL dongles. If you search for something that you want to use, just type RTL dongle. You know, these dongles, I'm going to show you one here, by the way. You guys will see what it looks like. This is the RTL dongle. This is what I use for VHF UHF. This cost me nothing because a friend of mine gave it to me, but this is basically what you get for 10 bucks. You see the antenna connector at the back, and this is 10 bucks. And basically, you install SDR Sharp or HDSDR or any software. You install the special driver, and this was made for HD TV on a computer. But someone wrote a driver that actually makes it tune every frequencies in the VHF UHF range. It's very wide band from about 25 megahertz up to 1.5 gigahertz, and it's amazing. You'll get Airband, you'll get whatever you want with this, and it's cheap, and this gets you into the hobby of scanner radio listening.
And they said it made a world of difference.
Are you running an amp?
I'm running an amp right now. Let me get a little home in the background. I don't hear it. Let me try without the amp.
Yep, Dalibor, you got it. That's will do the job. This is the RTL, SDR RTL 2832U. This, used with the special driver, will give you the full spectrum of VHF UHF. And look at that. It's here in Canada, $8.54, free shipping. I'm actually buying it. I'll make a video of it. I'm buying it right now. Here goes. Live. I've just bought it live. So guys, I now own this little dongle that I'll be receiving soon by mail.
The amp again right now. Is that hum still there? Yep, came back.
You might be too close to it, that's the problem.
Okay, how's that? Does that sound any better?
Just key without speaking.
Oh, Calvin, you'll like it. The Soft 66 RTL is amazing. I love it. I would say I'm spending maybe half of the time on the ICOM and half of the time on the Soft 66, basically.
It's so sensitive. Yeah, what's the one? It's an SB1 Behringer.
They have 400 ton of it. They've got maybe more. I mean, it's ridiculous. And every store is the same. I get the good girl. You're not going out tonight. That's because you went out the other night. See, I'm like,
just go on my YouTube channel, the official SWL channel. I posted a video on where to download Zadig and just install the driver for the SDR to work. Really easy to set up.
Christmas LED lights that work, that flash the music. Okay, here it is. Amazon. Star shower outdoor laser 55 star protector by bulb ahead. $29.99. Hey. Already. How big a unit is that? No, it looks like I didn't know the searchlight type thing that you have the ground take. You take it in the ground, you aim it at the house, and you turn it on, and projects the whole dots and everything. Yeah, the ones you saw on TV and stuff, and your neighbor probably had.
The thing is not that you have a good or a bad computer. The thing is, first of all, noise. The only problem you'll have with these dongles, especially the ones, the one on VHF UHF, isn't that much affected by the noise from the computers. But the ones like the Soft 66 with noise, because it's on shortwave, depends on the computer. Some computers make more noise than others. And I would say that For DXing with my Soft 66, I run my laptop on battery to eliminate the noise from the power supply. But apart from that, it depends on each machine. Some computers are worse than others in noise level.
Yeah, you gotta step it up a little. Half-inch length. And, you know, like the links are like your forefinger in diameter, and I use that to chain the bike when I would leave it somewhere.
No, Janelle, what I do is I plug in my own antenna on it, because that one, it's okay. I mean, for very basic stuff, it's going to work. But it is not an antenna that is very good. You can use a better antenna on it, and it's going to give you much better reception.
You see out in the parking lot. But that's enough for a couple more days of fun. I got a room in Tiffin, Ohio with a balcony over Main Street for $22 a week. Okay, and nowadays you can't get a room for $45 a night. It's up to $1,200. Yep. For people who pre-ordered, it was $995 or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, but you know, as I said, it's just I was just trying to understand your reasoning of why you didn't.
Nope, Harry. I plug direct. I plug my antenna directly to it without any adapter or any changes, and it works fine.
Latest software, and with the software that's coming out within, you know, it should be out any day. Let's put it that way. The stability of the radio is just rock solid. I mean, it's just an absolute rock solid, fantastic radio. And it doesn't have the Brazilian settings that the Anon has, but it's you know, got the settings you need.
The camera isn't fixed, Loner 269, but I pretty much, you see all the buttons on the radio, so I don't see what you want to see more, Loner 269. You should see pretty much all of the radio right now. So I'm playing most of the buttons I'm playing with is the attenuator, 10 or 20 dB. Because I have a lot of noise here, I tend to use an attenuator to lower my noise. It helps a little bit sometimes in the signal to noise ratio. And also, you know, why have S9 of noise when you can lower it to S2 or S3 with the attenuators? But it attenuates everything, of course, including signals. But there's not a lot of buttons I'm playing with here. Mostly attenuation here. Modes, of course, this one is single sideband, upper, lower sideband, or CW mode. AM mode for shortwave broadcasts. Sometimes I'll tune here, direct keypad entry, stuff like that. But not much I'm playing with on the receiver itself.
You know, you can set up profiles, different profiles, mic profiles, radio transmit profiles.
Yeah, PLF, you can use a TV antenna. If you got a good TV antenna, it can actually be surprising what you can receive with those.
For mode, the proper frequency, it'll set your proper settings, you know, with the digital audio exchange.
MX5 works on every machine, Apple, Linux, and PC. All you need is the software to have it working correctly, depending on the machine where you are that you are using it with.
With DAC, and it really shows off how well that radio does in a digi mode.
Danielle, upcoming radios. There's a lot of reviews on swling.com. I'm going to post it here, swling.com. You can also on YouTube. There's this guy, Tom Styles. Has a channel which is HamRad88, HAMRAD88, that often reviews a lot of new stuff, new receivers. And also there's one, I'm a big fan of the Spectrum Monitor magazine. That is a great magazine, and they have lots of reviews of radios also. Take care, GB73. And it's not that expensive. The Spectrum monitor is $24 US a year, and basically gives you a great magazine every month. It's only in PDF. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like for a few seconds. This is the cover of the January edition of the Spectrum monitor, and it's one of those great magazines. If you guys want to subscribe to something, subscribe to this. This is the best magazine. If you remember Monitoring Times, this is Monitoring Times, and it's even better, I'd say, than Monitoring Times. So this is the Spectrum monitor. So this is the January 2016. They're showing how to build solar-powered beacons this month. There's a lot of stuff. They even have a review of the new AOR DVI DV1 wideband receiver. So lots of nice stuff. It's a very good magazine to read every month. $24 US to subscribe. Available only electronically, so you only have a computer version in PDF. But it's a great magazine, by the way.
Similar. These FDR radios, the receive on them is just amazing when you sit there and take the time to.
Okay, the top here, this is a DSP. This is a digital signal processing. It's also the audio amplifier. I'm just playing with the volume control.
The thing is, even though the non-hardware was more modern, the software was still, to some point.
So let's go back up. Maybe I'll go back up to around 12 megahertz and tune from there down and see what else we can hear. If anybody has something they're listening to and they're part of the world, let us know. And I'll be checking it out if I can hear it over here also. Anyone that I have not mentioned, I'm sorry if I didn't see your name and not said hi. It's not intentional. So, oh, thanks, VLF. You know what? The reason I did the series on propagation was mostly because I am a part of the Shortwave Facebook group. And I've been noticing in the past month that pretty much everybody tells a lot of stuff, and a lot of the stuff they say ain't true, ain't correct. And I'm kind of the guy that I like people to know what exactly is happening with something. I hate it when somebody says something that's wrong and believes that it's right. So I thought, why not do a series on propagation so that everybody understands clearly and correctly how it works for real. Voice of Turkey 5960 starting their English language programs now to North America. Pretty decent signal. Wow, pretty decent signal. 5960 kilohertz. They're going to start English in a few minutes. Voice of Turkey.
This is the Voice of Turkey English language transmission broadcasting from Ankara in the 49-meter band between 1930 and 2030.
I don't know MFJ 1020C. I know what it is. I don't know what to say. Try it. I've heard a lot about MFJ products that don't do that much. I don't know. I'm not the good person to ask if that is a good or not thing to have the MFJ 1020C active antenna. If you want to have, I'll send out a personal opinion here, and I know that from what some of you have said, they might not all agree, but you know what? I personally don't really think an active antenna really helps that much. But that's my personal take on it. Maybe somebody's using one and saying, no, it's better. It's okay. It might be in some conditions, I don't know. But so I don't know what to say, my friend. HF in Canada, I'm using a 100 feet wire in the backyard, north-south positioning. It's 20 feet high, and that's what I'm using for shortwave. So voice of Turkey in English, 5960.
Our email address is from the news and research. The Voice of Turkey will present the future program. Tell me about Vietnam, the question of news, and something. But first, the headlines. Turkey summons Iranian ambassador over Airband broadcast.
You know, Danielle from TO, there's the World Radio TV Handbook. There's another one that is released, something like the Shortwave Radio Listening Guide, or I don't know, so something that looks like that. Sad to say, you know what? I'm in the mode where, except for maybe the Spectrum Monitor monthly magazine, I think we are really at a time where the best place to find all the info you need is on the internet. Everything you need to know is there. So less and less, I think it's useful to have a book. You know, World Radio TV Handbook, we're not sure yet, but that could be the last one. The last one that will be published. And I can understand why. With all the info we get on the internet and a much faster info also, everything is almost instantaneous on the web. I understand why books are a little obsolete in the shortwave hobby. That's for sure. You know, like Calvin says, the likes of the 680 is just as good with its own antenna. Yeah, you know, the radios today are amazing. And even the portable receivers we have today are so sensitive. I doubt that we really need something more than, you know, a piece of wire. Active antennas are not necessarily that good today. MX5, is your 100 feet wire grounded? It is grounded by the inside my shed. I got a wire that goes down in the back. It is grounded. The shield of the coax that comes in my house is grounded. And the long wire, the 100 feet wire, is center fed directly into the connector, the wire inside the coax.
We are leave Bahrain and Sudan cut all the strike. It is Islamic Republic on January the 4th, while the United Arab Emirates scales down.
AKC9 KUH. You know what? That is actually a very cool idea. I'm open to the idea. You know what? If you guys want to send me a nice picture of your shack, or you in the picture with the shack, if you're shy and don't want to show yourself, just your radios, yeah, I'd be happy to print them out and make some kind of wall art, radio art on the wall. It's really, really nice. It's a very, very cool idea.
Held in the buffer zone on the island. Commanders, unified and press releases following their meetings.
Yeah, the Sony 7600 JR, Calvin, is a great radio. So I would think that they are probably close, on pretty much on par with each other. They are both great, great radios. Yeah, Harry. The shack of the mud comes too.
When it has aimed to both leaders make several moves, including eating a meal together in public and walking around the center of the city.
If you guys send me a picture at the official Shortwave Radio Gmail address, I will print them up in, send me a good resolution, because I will print them up in like 8x10 or something like that on my color printer here. And I'll slowly be putting them up on the wall behind. So when I do the hangouts, you guys can see all of everybody's radio, everybody's little shack. You know, it's pretty cool. Yeah, you know, you don't have, by the way, don't be shy. I know some of you out there are probably saying, yeah, this guy's got an ICOM. I'm going to show my $50 radio. Who cares? A radio's a radio, and it's fun to see. If, you know what, do it in some kind of style. Put your radio somewhere, I don't know, next to a plant or your cat or whatever, and say, this is my receiver. And be proud of your receiver. You know, we don't have all the money to buy one of these. I understand that. And, you know, be proud of the radio you have. It's the one you got.
It's 940 kilometers long, when completed, along the path of the old southern corridor. The United States Secretary of Defense called Kerry following China's Thursday to end, kind of as usual, with its ally North Korea. After its decide, brought forward by announcing that it has...
hello, Alexis. Welcome, or Alexis, or I don't know what to call. In French, we have a name, Alexis. So I don't know if it's French. Welcome to the Hangout.
Report that it estimates that the agreed and respected solution states to implement that totally happen. Today, in my conversation with the Chinese, I made it very clear that has not worked and has not completed with China.
Well, $140 radio HF in Canada is a very decent radio.
Our allies have cooled in recent years. According to data gathered by South Korea's International Trade Association, the vast majority of North Korea's business dealings are with China. In 2013, China bought 90% of diverse countries' exports. Turkey's central bank plans to supply moderate policy.
Actually, one of the funny things I got to say, Jordan, when you got that R1000 for the price you paid, I was jealous, and I was thinking, if I bet against you on that, and you would notice that I'm the one that won the radio, you would have been mad as hell against me. And I said, nah, that's not good. I should never bet on a radio that somebody else that follows me actually wants.
The simplification of Turkish monetary policy may begin at the next meeting of the monetary committee. First added, the joint monetary policy stands in consideration of the inflation outlook.
Daniel from Tio, overloading is simply the fact that a receiver electronics, okay, there's a quality in the electronics of the receiver, and that's why some radios are actually more expensive than others. The more you pay for a radio in general, not always, the more you pay for a radio, the better the electronics in general. So usually it has more tolerance, because the more a signal is strong into the input, the more it can actually overload all the electronics in the input of the receiver and the amplifiers. So the more you pay, the better this is made. So it can cope with stronger signals and not overload. And basically, it will not break your radio. An overload will not break your receiver. It's just that it will distort everything. It will make ghost signals everywhere on the band. It will do all sorts of things. I've actually had overload on this. There was a Haitian station that opened up with 1 kilowatt, only about a kilometer and a half from here. And it was really creating hell. The icon was overloaded from the signal, and it popped up everywhere on the shortwave bands. So I'm happy now they're gone to the South Shore, farther away from me. And hey, Bob, hello, welcome to the Hangout. Yes, an SDR can overload. It's a radio. And that's the thing, is that in a software-defined radio, you have the controls in the computer to actually change the sensitivity of the receiver. I do tune the CB bands from time to time. You know, I've got a CB right here, hooked up to my 102-inch antenna. I'm just going to show you an old, here's the old CB that I have. This is a 40-channel AM only, realistic TRC 432 from 1984, 85. Still works well. I will sometimes tune around here. I'll also sometimes tune around the CB bands using the radio, the ICOM. I'm more in search of DX or unusual stuff on the CB bands. Lately, there's this gang talking on 27165 and upper sideband, and they are kind of interesting, by the way. Oh, of course, especially out of band. You know, I know I'm going to get some more hate mail, because every time I mention that I listen to out of banders, I get this hate mail saying you should never talk about pirate radio. You should never talk about out of banders. They're illegal. I don't care. You know what? I listen to it. I find it interesting. But out of bands, yeah. And sometimes my favorite frequency, I'm going to show you guys, 27.025. I'm going to explain why. Now, if you look at the reception right now, nothing on. But you know what? From that frequency, this is channel 6 on the CB. And when skip is good, I hear south of the US stations coming in loud on channel 6. And that tells me that there's skip. And you know what? That also can tell me, especially at night, and that's what I did on New Year's Eve and on New Year's Day. We had some sporadic E-skip over North America. Channel 6 was super loud with signals. It gave me a little hint. I went to the 6-meter band, which is 50 megahertz. So I went up and I went to the calling frequency on 50 megahertz like this, an upper sideband. And I heard stations calling. I heard a station from Alabama, from Texas, one from New Mexico. And it was really cool, 50 megahertz. So 27025 is a frequency I will often go to just to see if there's skip from the United States, and maybe hint to some kind of propagation that I can listen to stations.
For another 2 years in Rome.
Don't come in here and play airs and have the spirit of religion upon you. Realize we are old, awful, dirty, and we're roasting.
Mr. and Mrs. America turn a whole easy on Dianne Feinstein. And Obama just gets up there like he can triumph over it.
Alex Jones nut job on 6115 kilohertz WWCR.
Nobody wants your gun. I know America was founded by people who were paranoid of a foreign power, England, but like that's stupid too.
Oh yeah, Calvin, I often park on 27555 upper sideband and just wait. And many times I hear stations from Europe calling and then giving out what frequency they'll be using. I often do that, and it's really nice. I'd actually like to do that. I'd like to have some kind of 11-meter rig and DX a little bit, I'd have more fun doing that than getting my hand license for some reason. I don't know. I guess I have some kind of illegal blood or something. But there's a lot of stuff, you know. Danielle from TO, the local normal DXing switch on the side of the PL680 is there to prevent overloading. What it does usually is it will add a resistor to the circuit, so your signals are weaker. And DXing means it's without any attenuation. Normal has slight attenuation, and local means it's really big attenuation to make these signals weaker. But you know what? On shortwave, it's more or less interesting. I can tell you that. And German, he says maybe maybe someday I'll be high on shortwave hill with gel and with an ICOM R8500. You know, you guys don't focus too much on the radio. I know, you know, it's an expensive receiver and all, but you know, don't go crazy. You guys can DX as much as I do, even with a Texan PL 680, 660, or whatever. That's for sure. That's for sure.
And they found out he did it, even though he wasn't published in it, and threatened to fire him. That was his brother. He's now a statistician for a big company.
I'm not really sure, Bob, what you mean. And the 8 channels on CB, 3A, 11A, 15A. I've never seen that on a CB, actually. I don't know if anybody else can give more details about what that could be. That's for sure. Alex Cijo, Stagnag is a digital mode. Most of it is used by the Navy and is encrypted. Lots of communications there on Stagnag. The most popular mode is Stagnag 4285, but most of it is encrypted, and that's the sad part of it. But and a lot of the comms there, I know, come from the U.S. Navy. There's a lot of stuff there, so that's for sure.
Folks, numbers don't lie. The media acts like the biggest issue in the country is cop shooting.
Yeah, well, you know what, Calvin? You made me realize something. I've made many videos with the Texan PL 680, and I turn it on or off, the sync function. There's a very amazing use to the sync lock. The sync function is there to help you when stations, for example, say you have 2 stations close together, you can sync away from the other station. So say there's a strong station on 15140. You are listening to 15145. It's interfering. You can actually activate sync USB. It's going to go upper sideband. So it's going to go up from 15145. It's going to get you away from the 15140 interference. And it locks on the channel, on the frequency. So it really helps. And what it does, it actually removes the carrier from the station and creates its own little carrier in the receiver. So it does improve some weaker stations. It improves when there's a lot of fading on a signal. But you made me realize I never really did a video where I talk about it. So thanks for the suggestions, because I'm, you know, everything that you guys are saying that I say, hey, that's interesting. I'm going to jot it down and actually make videos of it. So look for that in the next few days, Calvin. I'm going to show you how to use the sync lock function. It's a very useful function, I can tell you that. Gilles, what is the weirdest, scariest, and just most odd thing you ever heard in your life on HF? Weirdest thing that I've heard on HF. Man, that's a good question. Mostly, I don't know. Let's say that the scariest and weirdest thing that you heard on HF in the 80s, listening to all these Eastern Bloc radio channels, you know, like Radio Berlin and Radio Moscow, and that was kind of weird. You know, all these communist stations. I can't say there's a lot of weird stuff. You know, it all depends on your age. When I was about 14 and I heard all these weird signals on shortwave, that sounded so odd and so mysterious. It was very, very bizarre. So, you know, it's difficult to really say. Hey, John from Twitter at Bear Tracker, checking into the hangout. Nice to have you on board. 13 minutes ago, also muffled oars. Will you do a video showing your new antenna like you did with your previous one, where you showed the run and connection? I already have one, but I'll be making more. Now it's winter, so it's not the right time. And if I go on my balcony right now, it's just like 2-inch ice, and I'm just gonna slide down the 3rd floor if I do so. But I will be checking that out for sure. Reframe Live. We've synced the live stream you tweeted to the hashtag shortwave. Watch it here. Reframe.tv. That's interesting. Somebody reframed and rebroadcast the hangout tonight for some reason. I'm just going to click here to see what it is. Yeah, reframe.tv actually has my broadcast playing. That's neat. Huh. Okay. Interesting. So, okay, what else here? I'm getting a little far ahead in the chat. What do you have here? Can you okay, sync lock? What else do we have here? Oh, you know what? I've been listening to shortwave for 30 something years. I don't even want to think about the number of years because it really makes me old suddenly. I've been, we're in 2016, so in July, August, I'll be listening to shortwave officially for 34 years, which is amazing when you think about it. And in 34 years, I heard a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff, that's for sure.
Got some skeet shooting.
Yeah, Calvin, what happens with the sync is that the radio will actually synchronize with the signal you're listening. It's only meant to be used on AM signals. So when you're listening to a broadcast, like you know, say you're listening to the BBC World Service, and the signals fades a lot, put it in sync mode, and you're going to see that it's going to sync with the AM signal. It's not meant to be used anywhere else than on international broadcasts. By the way, the sync function.
The country, right? I mean, I asked the question because there's a lot of people out there who don't trust you, obviously, on the issue of the guns. Now, there you go.
And the USB LSB fact is that you will choose which one you want depending on the type of sync you want to have. Hey, take care, Driver Films. It was nice to have you on board. Happy Friday, Atlas. Nice to have you on board. And basically, what you do is you tune a signal, and if you are on the upper, if the interference is higher in frequency, then you will use sync lower sideband. You're going to go away, down. If the interference or the problem is below the frequency, you're going to use upper side end. You're going to move away up. And it's made to be used on AM signals. That's very important. Michael J, first-time listener, watch YouTube videos all the time. Just wanted to know if you know what I can do for antenna, for I live in an apartment. Well, welcome to the apartment world. I am in an apartment also. It all depends on the rules and what's happening where you live, okay? I'm going to tell you a little secret. I live in an apartment. I'm not allowed to have antennas, okay? That's the first rule here. And what I did is I created my own little antenna with a very thin wire that doesn't show much and that nobody knows is existing there in the air. And basically, there are a lot of things you can do. You can try just a little something out of your, of your window, a little piece of wire out the window. You can try if there's a tree or a telephone pole, not electricity. Very important, no power lines. But there's a tree or something you can throw a wire at. Try that. It all depends on what's happening where you live. If you really can't do much, a loop antenna can be interesting. There's, something you can do with that for sure. Alex C. Jill, is it possible to receive number station with my PL660 in Argentina or on the East Coast? Surely, you probably can. You know what? Like Richard says, you probably can receive HM01, which is from Cuba. But yes and no. You know why? Because I know that the Cuban HM01's number station is directed to North America. It really is. It is directed towards North America. But you can try HM01 from Cuba. I'm sure you can maybe get that. And you'd be surprised at how far you can get number stations, Alexei. I receive Asiatic Russia number station in the summer, just above Radio New Zealand on 15720. So it just depends on not to it's just the noise. If you don't have a lot of noise, I think you can actually do it for sure. Bob says, I'm watching on YouTube and Reframe TV. YouTube servers are faster. Okay. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know what gives the idea of these people to actually rebroadcast live shows or something. So, hey, we are 2 hours and a half into the live shortwave hangout from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I'm having tons of fun. And you know what? Tomorrow is going to be another shortwave radio hangout at 2100 hours UTC. Hope you can be there for sure. And we're continuing to tune the bands. I'm answering a lot of questions right now, but we're technically tuning the bands. So Alex Jones, nut job on 6115. Let's check 11580. I think 2330 is, yep. Radio Ukraine is about to start from WRMI, by the way, now on 11580.
White Street, Key West, Florida, 33040 USA. Or call us at 1-877-5008.
Well, you know what, Calvin, it's understandable because when you see USB LSB, you're wondering exactly what that does. And basically what it does, it replaces the carrier from the AM broadcast station. And then you choose which one you want to use, upper or lower. So by replacing the carrier that fades in and out from shortwave with an internal carrier from the receiver, often helps in making the station better at reception, basically. P. Steckler says, I heard Radio Bulgaria talking about the new socialist Bulgarian woman.
This is Ukrainian radio.
Yep, Ukrainian radio 11580. The funniest thing that I've heard, it was a broadcast from the Voice of America. I haven't laughed my head off in such a long time. In the holiday season, Voice of America had a call-in program in French where they were talking about women and you know, working women and how it was viewed in Africa. And half of the men calling were all saying that women should be in the kitchen and cook, and that's it.
Or not at the festive table, but in cold trenches. To those who are standing there with guns, not wine glasses.
But you can try, if you can't put anything outside, Michael J., you could try putting in a window, a wire, sorry, inside. Just put a wire along a wall inside your home, something. It's surprising. If you don't have too much noise, sometimes it's surprising. Peace Declar, Montreal is covered in snow. We had the second biggest snowstorm ever between Christmas and New Year's. Actually here on New Year's Eve, it was 17 plus 17 degrees Celsius, 65 Fahrenheit or something. Amazingly warm. And then it came cold 2 days after, and we had 40 centimeters. That's about a feet, a little more than a feet of snow. 40 centimeters of snow. And this is the second biggest snowstorm we ever had. So everywhere it's covered in snow right now, I can tell you. So Radio Ukraine via WRMI 11580.
Since Thursday night, frontline positions of government troops in several villages in Donetsk and Luhansk regions have come under mortar, grenade, and rifle fire almost 30 times. Fortunately, there have been...
Hey, Sharpie, welcome to the hangout.
The operation headquarters reported on Friday. 15 strikes were reported.
Check it out, Alexei. You'll be surprised at what you can hear. I'm sure you can hear, but you know, sometimes you just have to be there at the right time and at the right frequency. That's for sure. And HF in Canada, I'm not stopping the show. Don't worry, I'm not there yet.
Marianka and Avdiivka in Donetsk region, and Shchastya and Zolote in Luhansk region. Alexander Bergin, presidential spokesman for the counterterrorism operation, reported the presence of militants dressed as civilians in the village.
Daniel from TO, I've never heard anything else than non-directional beacons on the long-wave band, because here in North America, that's the only thing that's there. The long-wave band is used on broadcast in Europe, but here in North America, it was never used for a broadcast. They've always been a band for long-wave, for non-directional beacons. There's a part from 160 to 190 kilohertz where there are low-powered stations. If you have low noise, maybe you can hear something. And there's a lot, you know, there's not that much. There's NAVTEX that I've heard from the Coast Guard on something like 317 kilohertz. That can be decoded with any software. What else did I hear? I've heard, you know, I was DXing non-directional beacons in the 80s when noise was low. I loved every now and then I would tune the long-wave bands and try to get new non-directional beacons. And I've heard non-directional beacons in the long-wave band up to Bermuda. But I've never really heard a European or any broadcast there, except for that. PLF, do you still learn something about shortwave or radio in general? I always learn new things. You cannot know everything about radio. Some of you out there, when you talk, you know what, or when you chat, make me learn new stuff all the time. When I do the hangouts, a lot of you out there actually talk about stuff that I didn't even know. You know stuff, but you don't know everything. It's like in computers. You know, I am a tech guy, but I don't know everything about computers, and there's always new stuff. You know, look, I'm jumping head first into the new Hangouts next week that will be Hangouts about scanner radio. I can tell you one thing. I'm not very knowledgeable in scanner radio. We're going to talk together with that because I know a lot of you are going to be actually making me learn a lot about scanner radio. And I've been reading a lot about scanner radio in the past weeks or just because I wanted to, you know, brush up a little bit on what's happening.
Fire that occurred over the Christmas holiday. Germany, with France, Russia, and Ukraine brokered the ceasefire talks in.
Well, you know, Bob, the best chefs in the world are men. In my family, on my father's side, I got 3 uncles that were some of the best chefs in Montreal. And so, I don't know. There's something about men doing, it's not a question of men or women. I think, you know what, it's just that it's a question of when it becomes a passion. You know, women cook because they have to, because they cook for the men or for their children or whatever. But the men that cook probably want to cook because they love it. And so it's like listening to the radio. I don't know. There's something about the way things are done. It's not because we're better than women. It's just because maybe when we do something, we do it with more passion because we decide that that's something we love. You know, it's like radio. There's not a lot of women in radio. That's for sure. How do you keep that radio so clean? You use it all the time and not greasy. I clean it. I just clean it. That's it. I just, you know, there doesn't need a lot, but what you need to do, thing is, you just, you know, wipe it regularly. The worst thing you want to do with radio, you know, is what? Is just to leave it there and don't clean it ever. You want to, at least once a week, just take a little damp cloth and clean the thing a little bit to make it. And you know what? It's even worse because now that I make videos and that my camera is an HD camera, if there's only one little speck of dust on this thing, well, when I look back at my video, the only thing that I see is a speck of dust. And I don't see the radio anymore. I just see the little speck of dust. And actually, I posted a video once, and somebody said, man, there were like 4 or 5 speck of dust on the radio. You should clean them. Yeah, okay. Oh, man. Hey, Dariv in Southern Ontario, Canada. Welcome to the Hangout.
3 months of fighting was now approaching 90,000. Killings, torture, and lawlessness still prevail in the disputed eastern Ukrainian region. A fresh ceasefire last August has led to a big drop of hostilities, particularly few.
Harry and Jordan fighting over food poisoning. So let's tune around a little bit, see what we can hear. We'll go down to 10 megahertz WWV. Well, I can tell you guys, if you ever come to Montreal, I'm going to cook you a good meal because I don't want to brag too much, but I am a pretty good cook. Oh, Michael J, the realistic DX 160 from Radio Shack is a nice receiver.
As I was reading that little poem this morning, somebody said
another frequency for Brother Stare.
16.
Radio Cairo 9965, but with just impossible audio, no audio at all.
群龙无首去进展。这个时候，大多数人认为股票更适合当副品。再往下呢，我们还是有种新的感觉来自国际。在去年年底做成了股大会上，他们发行广告说，选择进来时，无论是投的还是个人的出口期都不佳。言下之意就是，现在环球资本太强了，而且还有很多世界大型交易也在做升级。作为社会的标准，我只是在大人条表达他的观点。
Oh, this is nice. This is Radio Free Asia. Or no. Well, I don't know. Okay. We've got here Radio Free Asia and the CNR1 jammer, both on the same frequency because China doesn't want Radio Free Asia to go into China. So this is either CNR1, the Chinese national radio, or Radio Free Asia broadcasting to the Asia. So 9825 Asian signals coming in right now. Well, Jordan's saying what I find interesting about Ukraine is hearing what's happening with their war that we never hear on the news. You know what? That's the thing about shortwave. I like shortwave because that's the thing. We hear about events in the world that we never hear in the news. You know what? I like VOA, Voice of America to Africa, because they give me the news on what's happening in African countries. And here in Canada, we don't know what's happening in those countries. You know, Radio Canada or the CBC is not talking about that. And there's something happening in the world in these countries. That's why shortwave is really cool. Yeah, Daniel from TO. I'll be checking out. I've done videos on PSK31, but you know what? From time to time, I think it's time to revisit. I'll make a series of videos in the next weeks on decoding digital modes again. A lot of people enjoyed that. The problem, Ari, with the petition on the new government to bring back RCI, Radio Canada International, is that the Sackville transmitter site is now totally gone. So it means that, you know, as long as the transmitters were there, there's still hope because it doesn't cost a lot to restart. But now they have to build antennas and build transmitters. You know, it's never going to happen anymore. And that's so unfortunate. Yeah, HF in Canada, any wire will do. Any wire. As long as it's wire. As long as it's metal wire, any type of wire does work as an antenna. As long as you don't put it in the wall socket, it's okay. HF in Canada, wire is wire. It doesn't have a rating of voltage or anything. A wire is simply a wire. It doesn't matter. You could use the same wire that you have, you know, in our buildings for the electrical system, and use 100 feet of it, and it's going to make a perfect antenna. It's just that it's going to be really rigid and very, very tough, but it's going to work. Take care, and if you're around tomorrow, another hangout tomorrow at 2100 hours UT. Hey, David in Barcelona, welcome to the hangout. Well, if you have just a little wire inside, Michael J, doesn't really matter if you ground it or not, basically. And if you have a tabletop, you can ground it in the apartment. You can. It's very difficult if it's an apartment that's very, very recent. More and more people are using plastic pipes for the water pipes. But if you have metal pipes, you can try cold water pipe to ground. But you know, inside an apartment doesn't change much, basically. You know what, HF in Canada, we're all been there where we're new. I remember when I got my first shortwave radio, I didn't know anything, and you know, even worse, nothing. There was nothing like this. You know, no hangouts, no guy from Canada or from anywhere in the world talking live and helping you and answering the questions. You were on your own, and you had to just understand what the hell you were doing. And you know, I've read hundreds of books on radio in the 80s, you know, and often because they were books from the library, the municipal library here in Montreal. They were like books from the 1960s about how radio works. So you know, we're all been there where we don't know anything, and we need to ask someone. And this is a great place for that. I mean, we're all a great bunch of guys and girls that just want to have fun in our hobby. That's interesting. I don't see anything in my listing at this time on any 690 in Chinese or some Asian language. I'm trying to find 9690, and I don't get, what do I see here? The only thing broadcasting I see is All India Radio. Voice of Nigeria, no. Radio Free Asia isn't on there. I don't get nothing. 9690, there's some Asian transmission, but it's not on my shortwave list. Actually, that's Alex C. That's something that I need to do. Maybe try to show a little more on how we can make basic antennas. Try to make your shortwave radio work. I'm gonna check it out how I can do something like that and put maybe a series on antennas. For sure. Bye, Calvin. Take care. Nice to have you on board all the time. It's always fun. And don't forget, tomorrow is another hangout. We're talking about software-defined radios at 2100 hours UTC tomorrow. That's for sure. Well, you know, HF in Canada, stores want to make money, so they want to sell you stuff. Wire is wire, and that's the basics of an antenna. Metal wire is metal wire, and it's good for antennas. Take care, Mad Boy. It was nice to have you on board. PFL. It's yep, EIBI space that I'm using, and there's nothing written for some Asian language here at this time. Scotty Tier 6 says just received a winter storm warning in Toronto on his unit at Home Patrol scanner. Radar shows the approaching storm. Here in Montreal, we're supposed to have one hell of a rainstorm. Temperature is going to rise like to +10 tomorrow and Sunday. And we're supposed to have like 30 or 40 millimeters of rain and high winds. Yeah, like David says, some special brand and manufacturer for antennas. But you know, that's a catch, like $300 HDMI cables for your home theater system, when a $29.95 HDMI cable does the exact same job. Lots of Asian signals on 9 megahertz. They're going to be interesting to see. In 8 minutes, we have Radio Thailand on 13.745. Will Radio Thailand come in on 13.745? That's going to be an interesting thing to watch for. We'll see. It's Radio Thailand broadcast to the East Coast of North America in 8 minutes. I'm going to try it to see if we can hear it. And for now, there's Cuba on 13.740. That's interesting because CRA in Japanese. I'm going to check the list again, but Shortwave.info uses the same list that I have here. Okay, I got it. Okay, it's my fault. I was looking at 9690, and actually it was 9695. So yes, it is. I look at the wrong frequency. Too much wine, I guess. Yeah, 23 to 2400 hours China radio in Japanese, and from Asia. So nice. It's open to Asia. Signals on 9 megahertz open to Asia. Well, technically, Michael J., the longer the wire, the best reception you'll have. The problem will be mostly noise. You should you should try to find which room in your home has less noise. That's going to help you a lot. So okay, so I wasn't wrong. I was going to say PLF because I'm kind of used to saying PLF for sure. You know, David, I have a little story about that. As you're saying, master cable, speaker cable with audio files, like it so much and so on. A friend of mine is a real audiophile. Okay, his system cost him $35,000, and one day he comes over with his power bar, and he tells me, "Hey, you know electronics. Do you know I can run a lot of power through my power bar so that the electrons settle correctly into the power bar?" So that there's no noise in my sound system. And in my head, it was like, what the hell are you talking about? The electrons in the power bar, you need to make them work so that you don't have any noise. And I just thought for a moment, okay, $35,000 sound system, you're a nut job. I don't know. You know what? I think there is definitely something in a higher end sound system. But there's a point where, come on, our ears have limits. And I think at some point, it's more in your head than the reality of what it is. And you know what? I've got a $1,000 sound system from the 1980s here, 100 watts per channel. And all I can say is when I pump up that volume, it just sounds amazing. And that's all I want. Carrier is up for China Radio on 9570. That's the carrier for China Radio International. Radio Romania interval signal 9525. You know, Bob, all I can say is I'm sure a higher sound system, higher end sound system sounds better. That there's no problem. It's like, you know, I bought this $2,000 ICOM because it's better. It's just that some people sometimes are just like damn stupid when they come to that. Yeah, 200 miles, Scotty TR6. Imagine here in Quebec, the power stations are out in James Bay, which is about 1,000 miles away from Montreal. So imagine the electrons went from James Bay up to Montreal. Must be a lot of interference, that's for sure. Long wire antennas, when they're horizontal, long wire antennas are always directional, even the short ones. They are directional at 90-degree angles, so meaning that, as an example, my 100 feet wire is north to south. So my best reception technically is from east and west. That said, because shortwave signals tends to bounce around and be pretty much unpolarized, it doesn't matter that much. Yes, it will make your signals a little weaker from the north and south in my case, but not that much. But it is true that a long wire is directional. Yeah. Very, very, very weak carrier on 13745. But too weak to do anything about it. So we're 0-100 hours UTC right now, almost. China Radio International coming in on 6020 and 9570. Both frequencies are quite good tonight. 9570 and 6020 from Albania transmitter site. China Radio International in English to North America.
Discover modern-day China by viewing also its economic, cultural, and social revolutions. This is Agent 1008 AM Discover Plus Radio, China Radio International. CRI News, I'm Munji.
Not just in the old days, Scotty TR6. You reinstall Windows even today.
Awards for their outstanding work in
Hey, Milcom 1970, welcome to the hangout.
progress.
We've been on now for 3 hours tuning the shortwave band.
At an annual ceremony held to recognize distinguished scientists and research achievements. Addressing the event, Premier Li Keqiang stressed that innovation should be placed at the very core of the overall national development. He also vowed to nurture new drivers of economic growth while upgrading traditional industries. Foreign and defense ministers from Japan and Britain have sat down to discuss bilateral security. As part of the meeting, both sides have condemned the latest nuclear test by North Korea. Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida says both Japan and the UK are going to work with the rest of the world community on actions against North Korea within the United Nations. At the same time, Japan and the UK say they want to speed up negotiations on a new deal to increase trade in areas such as food, fuel, transportation, ammunition, and military equipment. The two sides are also working on a feasibility study for whether or not to create a new air-to-air missile program. Police in South China's Shenzhen have arrested 5 more people in connection with last month's...
Well, you know what, David, about analog and all, analog versus digital on recordings. One of the things that people don't know is that an analog, a good high-end turntable with a vinyl. One of the things that happened when they created the digital CD, you know, the first CDs that came out, and even today, the standard of the CD was created with the technology of the time, and because of it, they had to cut a little on the frequency range. So there's a good and a bad of a CD and a vinyl. A vinyl will be a little more noisy, but it will have more frequencies in the sounds and the music that you hear. A CD is very low noise. You can have virtually zero noise if you want, but there's a little bit of the frequencies that are missing because of the standard that they issued back in the 80s. So, you know, good and bad.
By QVOD. The defendants claim...
Better late than never, what they say, Milcom 1970, Prescott, Arizona. You know, for all of those, once again, that are here, tomorrow is also a hangout, 2100 hours UTC, and it's a software-defined radio hangout. We'll talk about SDRs.
With priorities given to enhancing trading vitality and stabilizing the market.
Well, only in the CD, PFL. In the CDs, because of the standard of the time, the frequencies are cut. But in newer, if you look at the new formats, you know, even MP3s, people listen to MP3s. You know, MP3s is a compressed format. There's missing stuff in there. But in the like the FLAC, I don't know if you say FLAC or whatever, the new formats today, the high-end formats, these uncompressed and very high quality digital modes are actually very good. They have everything in there. There's of course a limit on what you'll receive and what you'll hear. You know, my 47-year-old ears, you know I'm partly deaf. I did a test about a year ago, and you know they told me, look, you're okay. You know what I mean? You're okay for 47 years old, but technically, compared to a 16-year-old guy, I'm partly deaf. Some of the frequencies in my ears are missing. So you know, it's just a question that there's a limit to what you enjoy. It's like today I did a video about a news video, and we're talking about iPhones, and I was telling how everybody enjoys music on iPhones but doesn't realize that the earbuds that come with an iPhone are just so crappy. And if you like music, that's not what you're going to use to listen to music. You're going to buy some good earphones. So you know, it all goes down to what you want to hear and what you want.
Learn about its amazing Estonian culture. Helping you discover a true taste of China and the pulse of the Chinese nation.
I've got an old Technics turntable here on my old 100 watt per channel sound system that I still use and love today.
In, I'm your host, Man Ling. Coming up on today's show, the United Kingdom relaxes visa rules for Chinese tourists. Chinese have become a major player on the U.S. real estate market.
Hey, KC9KU8, welcome back.
Metropolis Beijing is expected to meet its national standard in 2030. Now,
You know, it all depends what you want. You know, like I have Groove Music Pass. So basically what I do is I listen to whatever I want on the Groove Music Pass. You know, that streaming stuff is not the best quality, but it's okay. You know, I just want to listen to my favorite songs. I don't really care if it's, you know, super high-end. I just want to listen to my music. So for me, it's all right. You know, with a good pair of earphones, sounds okay. But of course, you can have better.
with our reporter Ming Wei. The new policy is seen as the latest move by the UK to win a slice of China's high-spending Airband.
Let's check if there are some pirate stations on the air right now. It'll be interesting to see. So no pirate stations noted.
That's going to separate the sheep from the goats for the last time.
Some more Alex Jones nut job on 6115 via WWCR.
The sheep from the goats separated the people that were truly lost people from people that said they were lost people that were not.
Oh, I'm sure Scotty TR6, an educated ear can hear a lot more. But we also have to know one thing, is that as we get older, our ears are, you know, rather bad.
Many of them. And many others operate very fast in the world. The Lord said to come out of the world. You're out of wool gathering. And you focus it like a laser beam.
Caribbean Beacon, 6090 kilohertz from the island of Anguilla.
And what this external act of hanging the...
You know, one of the things for sure is the noise. You know what? In the 80s and part of the 90s, as not to annoy everyone, I would use real good earphones to listen to shortwave. And you know, there's a lot of background noise. So I always wondered if that you know, damaged my ears a little bit.
Chinese investors.
In 20 minutes, going to be Radio Slovakia, English, 11580 and 5850. Interesting. There's something on 5015. Hello, William Helms via email. Welcome to the Hangout. What the hell is that? 5015, people moaning. Wow. Anyone hearing 5015? That weird moaning? What the hell is that? Hey, about to walk up to the hangout. You know what? It says Brother Stare on 5015. What the hell is that? You know what? If I become a preacher, I want to be a screaming, completely nuts preacher like that. That's the way I want it. It does say Brother Stare on the EIBI pages, but come on, this is okay. I'm laughing my head off now. It's either that or, you know what? The only other thing that sounds like this is a bad karaoke night when I go out. P. Stegler says, that's what I sound like last night at karaoke. Maybe that's what I sound like at 3 in the morning after 15 beers at the karaoke. This is just so bad. I can't believe that this is on the radio. And the other one that's moaning, I mean, you know, I have the impression, if you guys remember, some of you remember maybe the Radio Botswana. Radio Botswana had a interval signal with farm animals that were imitated by the people. So basically, people would imitate all the farm animals, and that was the interval signal of Botswana. That reminds me of that. All it's missing is the cowbells. HF in Canada, I found out about shortwave radio. You know what? My father is somebody that always bought all sorts of electronic gadgets. He was always curious about those. He came home at about 1979. I was about 10 or 11 with a multi-band radio. And what I was amazed is I could hear airplanes. I could hear all the airplanes overhead. And even my friends would be amazed at that. And basically, that radio had a band called SW. And that's like SW1, SW2. I didn't know what it meant. And basically, I listened. And one day, I came across a station in English and said, "This is BBC in London." And I had no idea at the age of 10 or 11 what BBC was. So I thought London, Ontario, Canada. No, it was London in England. And basically that started with that. Then at some point, what happened is I actually saw a radio, and I found it cool. And the radio was this one, the DX100, right here. This is, I came to the Radio Shack store and said, wow, this looks so cool. And basically, my dad, you know, I was looking at it, it was $100 in 1982. And I started, you know, putting money away and trying to get $100, which was a lot for a 13-year-old guy. And finally, in August of '82, my dad said, how much you got for the radio? And I said, I got $50. He said, how about I give you the other $50 and you go get it now? And that's what I did. I was just so happy. And this is what started all of my shortwave radio passion. This little radio here, listened to the world for a couple of years. And that's what started really my shortwave hobby. I can tell you that. And by the way, that radio still works very well. So that's how it started, and that's how I became a shortwave radio listener. Now, in 1982, you would have told me that in 2016, I would be the host of a shortwave radio show live from Montreal to all you guys. I would have said, you are crazy. David says, I saw a video on YouTube about Brother Stare being played slow backwards. What about if Brother Stare played backwards sounds like the devil? That would be interesting. Radio Rebel Day in Cuba, 5025.
36 y 22 están los Peareños a 2 juegos de los Tigres. Aparece a continuación
Milcom 1970.
están las 3 rayas de Cielo de Ávila. Pero atrás también están Olguín e Industriales, aunque no tienen el mismo balance de ganados y partidos que Matanzas. Matanzas por averaje de ganados y partidos con 603 está por encima de Olguín e Industriales que tienen 36 y 24. También está.
Like William Helms says through the email, maybe it's the streamer like the Terry Bladlock guy.
Este último renglón es el que decide momentáneamente el puesto en la tabla. Pero después aquí en Industriales aparece Romania con 33 y 27, está Fons de Cielo y cierre el pelotón Isla de la.
You know, I'll always remember, there are moments we remember. I'll always remember when HCJB back in 1984, about 1984, it was a warm summer night. I remember I was listening to HCJB outside on the balcony. And there was this show where they were playing heavy metal music backwards and trying to tell us that the when played backwards, heavy metal music was actually the work of the devil. I'll always remember that. And to give you an idea of how these guys were off, they were calling Hotel California from the Eagles heavy metal music. Yeah, right. That's really heavy.
Gracias, Javi. Te espero entonces en información. Las 7:20 minutos. Las noticias del mundo, los diputados nacionales del Frente para la Victoria propusieron hoy con vehemencia.
Yep, VHF in Canada, you can hear military on the shortwave bands. Some of the best frequencies. If you try 8992, 11175, 11175. I'm going to try it again. Okay, 8992, 11175, and 15016 upper sideband. These are the primary frequencies for the U.S. Air Force. You'll hear a lot of messages, a lot of stuff. Some people heard even the IDs of Air Force One, the President plane, on these frequencies. If you leave the radio on these frequencies for a while, you'll hear communications. There's a lot of military stuff from the US. on the HF bands. And by the way, probably you weren't there when it started, but when I started the hangout on 13927, I heard Mars Network, which is Military Auxiliary Radio System. They were having a net, and these are military personnel from the U.S. Air Force.
Que están viendo por supuesto estas medidas que tienen tanto que ver con su agenda neoliberal. Doy la bienvenida, reitero, a Rafael Pérez, su primera vez, y a Oliver.
A long wire antenna should be plugged into the 500 homes normally, because 50 is for 50 homes. Normally, a balanced antenna coming in with a coax is in the 50 home connector. If you are just plugging the wire, a long wire is what we call a high Z. It's a very high ohmage. So you plug it into 500 jack instead of the 50. But you know what? In the real world, I can tell you one thing. You'll see a slight difference on the strength and the S meter, a slight difference, but not that much, whatever you plug it in. Michael J. You know what? You guys know there's a song, Planet Clear, by the B-52s. If you listen to Planet Clear, the beginning of the song, there's Morse code in it. It's CFH, the Canadian military station out of Halifax. And that is long gone, the shortwave bands. And you'll hear what sounds like a shortwave, weird, bizarre signal on it. So if you ever heard that, B-52s, Planet Clear, at the beginning, CFH station, they recorded that off shortwave, that's for sure.
En el país estaba de vacaciones, un hombre intuito y ha gobernado prácticamente por decreto. Él no ha utilizado el Congreso para nada. Sí, incluso se ha buscado problemas con el Poder Judicial, que ha declarado sin lugar incluso muchas de sus medidas. Yo creo que por alguna manera tal idea, la respuesta que le dio la canciller venezolana durante la cumbre de Mercosur, cuando Macri comienza a hablar sobre el tema de Venezuela.
That's interesting, Jerwandi. You know what? A lot of people are reporting that actually Radio Kuwait was on the air when the invasion from Iraq came, and they were actually begging and calling for help on the airwaves of Radio Kuwait when it happened. That must have been really something incredible to listen to. Take care, PFL. It was nice to have you on board. Yep, Scotty, Planet Clear has pink hair. And all the trees are red. Actually, I have the voice to do it. You know, Planet Clear has pink hair, all the trees are red.
Por ejemplo, en grupos importantes como el grupo Claridad, el dominio completo de los medios queridos radiantes de Argentina, y la ley de medios, para los que muchos no saben, la ley de medios es tú lo puedes concentrar. Si tú tienes un periódico, por ejemplo, tú no puedes tener un canal de televisión. Entonces, separar las funciones, lo puedes tener y las dos cosas a la vez, porque entonces tú darías tu opinión sobre el monopolio de información, y dejar la información en manos de un grupo de
Rock Lobster. Yeah. I love the B-52s. I always enjoyed these bands.
La mujer a la convivencia. Y aquí la profesora Jay
psicológicamente encuentra un abismo entre las expectativas del hombre y de la mujer. La mujer tiende a ver la convivencia como una casa, un matrimonio. Y esto, mujeres que están conviviendo saben perfectamente. Y mujeres que están conviviendo denuncia el hecho de que un hombre no decida, no diga, ok, nos casamos.
So this is WWN from the United States. WRMI, that is for the west coast of North America on 5850. And actually, Radio Slovakia should be in English in about 4 minutes on this frequency, 5850. And also on 11580, which is now almost gone. So Radio Slovakia here maybe in 4 minutes from WRMI transmitters.
To show us what's in our heart, whether we'll keep his commandment or no. You know, and
that used to be 100 years ago, 200 years ago. They flipped.
So guys, I'm just gonna say bye for now. You know, tomorrow I have another hangout, so it's gonna be a lot of job, and I'm gonna take it easy for the rest of the evening. I want to thank you everyone for being there. So remember everyone, tomorrow 2100 hours UTC, another hangout. We're going to talk about software-defined radios, and next Friday 2100 hours UTC is going to be the first radio scanner VHF UHF hangout, where we'll talk about everything about scanner radios, about VHF and all. So I'm back tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the hangout. It's always fun for me to do these. And see you tomorrow, 2100 hours UTC, guys. Always a great pleasure. Take care.